Brendan. You're my doppelganger. What's up? How you doing? Welcome to the podcast.
What's going on, Brandon? We got the double B's in the house.
Yes, the double B's. Okay, cool. So, tell me a little bit about yourself first. I don't know a lot about Whispernode. I have heard about Secret Network a little bit. I definitely have some questions on that and want to cover that in some detail. But before we do, tell me a little bit about yourself and your background. How you got into the space. What was there a single moment that got you into the space? Why crypto and blockchain? Did you do something before that? To kind of give the audience a little bit of an idea of yourself, and kind of where you came from, where you started.
Sure, man. It's been a hell of a journey. So my name is Brendan Kittredge. I'm from New Hampshire originally. And before this whole, crypto space, I was actually a government worker. I used to buy major weapons systems for the Navy. And then after that, I ended up buying IT equipment for the Peace Corps all around the world. But back in 2016, kind of 16, 17, around that, bull run time, started becoming interested in crypto. Had a buddy that was a developer that made his full-time salary in Ethereum back in like 2013, 14. And he kind of turned me on to what, Bitcoin was at the time. And then it evolved from that into what Ethereum was. It showed me, back then it was called DApp Radar. I don't even know if that website still exists.
I've heard of that. I don't think it exists anymore. I don't know if it exists anymore.
I don't think so, but like back then it was just super early, and it just had like maybe 20 applications that were built on Ethereum. I don't even know how many are on there now, but I just remember hearing about, Bitcoin being a digital currency, having a limited supply, all the typical BTC, Maxi things that make it appealing. But then hearing about Ethereum and smart contracts and what you can do with, the power of unstoppable code in a smart contract that executes on its own based on real life, events and things like that. So became fascinated back then. And that's how I got interested in the space originally as just an investor, and joining a bunch of different crypto communities, one of them being the Enigma community, which led to where I am today with Secret Network. And we'll probably talk about the transition from being Enigma into Secret Network.
Yeah, so let me get it straight. You went from making naval war weapons to investing in magical internet money.
That's pretty much correct. Yeah. I literally bought a nuclear reactor for one of the aircraft carriers, the CVN-79, and I used to buy radar systems for ships as well. So it's been a
That's
hell
really
of a
cool.
change, man.
Yeah, is there a connection there, with your passion or desire and, working in that kind of space in the Navy, and then also, in crypto? It seems like maybe there's a little bit of a tie there with, Secret Network and Whispernode, and maybe some privacy features or something like that.
Yeah. I think it was more just the tech always fascinated me, going from like radar systems and kind of combining the whole engineering aspect with the contract negotiation, because I was a contract negotiator, right? So,
Right.
I was studying like the business end of things, and I always loved combining like a passion for engineering and technology with the kind of business aspect of it. And that's why, crypto was a natural fit, because it kind of combines all these different areas of economics, engineering, tech, coding, and all those different areas. So.
And you said it was Ethereum, that originally turned you on to the space and smart contracts. Is that still true for you today? Or do you think, Ethereum maybe is losing some viability? Or?
Yeah. So, I mean, why I became interested in Secret Network at that time, it was called Enigma. Uh, they had a really compelling white paper. If you remember back in 2017, it was all about the white papers and the
Yeah.
ICOs. Um, so I remember thinking about Ethereum and thinking about these smart contracts and what kind of use cases they could have in the real world. Um, but they don't address privacy, right? So I was thinking about real world applications for crypto and for smart contracts, whether it be, banking, healthcare, um, and any really vertical in the enterprise system, but
Hmm.
realizing that none of these enterprises are ever going to adopt blockchain without data privacy. I mean, they can't, right? They can't
Hmm.
even do it because of things like GDPR. They have to maintain privacy of their user data, at least at a minimum. Not to mention, they're probably not going to want their entire business to be public.
True. True. Is so? How does Secret Network, address privacy? How does it, separate itself from the other blockchain projects out there that are, trying to do something similar?
Yeah. So, you have, when you talk privacy, especially in blockchain, I think what comes to mind for everyone is like Monero or Zcash or
Hmm.
some of these other transactional privacy coins. And transactional privacy is all well and good and definitely something that's needed. But like I said, I'm more interested in like the privacy of the underlying data that's in a smart contract. Um, so what Monero is to Bitcoin, Secret Network seeks to be for Ethereum. Um,
Okay.
and that's kind of the analogy, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Are there any existing use cases on Secret Network? Like, have people really built anything of significance yet, or are there any partnerships that have been pretty public?
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff being built right now. I think the best example of kind of an initial use case was, so on Ethereum, you have this problem called miner extracted value, right? I'm not
Hmm.
sure if you've heard of miner extracted value, um,
A little bit.
but essentially these decentralized exchanges, these AMMs like Uniswap, Sushi Swap, you name it, all these AMMs that are when people are trading on these things, especially in large volumes or like large trades, what's happening is people are programming bots to watch the order book, and then
Hmm.
they front run these trades. So if Brandon was going to submit an order to buy 50,000 ether, or probably not ether, but say it's some shit coin that has low liquidity or something.
Sure.
Um, your order of 50,000 is very likely to drive up that price. So they'll program a bot to put in an order before your order with a higher gas. Um, their order will go through before yours executes, and then they sell right after you, and they just earn automatic profit by having a bot out there watching the order book. So this was a huge problem for dexes in the past few years, especially with DeFi summer, like last summer when everyone was going
Hmm.
crazy about DeFi. We were seeing billions of dollars in TVL, but no one was realizing how much money was being lost just due to these bots, extracting that value. So one of the first things we built on Secret Network was a DEX. It was kind of like a Uniswap clone, but with privacy.
Hmm.
So the order book is private. Like when Brandon puts in an order for $50,000 of a shitcoin, uh, no one on the network can see that order because the data of the smart contract, your order, is hidden. So there's nothing there for these bots, for these miners to see. So
Mhm.
they can't front run your order basically.
Okay, how long has that been around? Is it been around as long as Uniswap has, or is this relatively new?
It's pretty new. We
Okay,
launched. It's called Secret Swap. Secret
secret.
Swap. Yeah. .io. And we launched in February, I believe.
So what do you need to use Secret Swap? Do you have to have like a wallet like MetaMask, for example, that links to it, or like what's the best way for someone that wants to use it to, avoid these common issues with like Uniswap, Pancake, Sushi, all the food brand name swaps? How do they do it?
Yeah. So there is. If you're familiar with like the Cosmos ecosystem, uh,
Hmm.
there's a wallet in the Cosmos ecosystem called the Kepler wallet, and it's an awesome team. The main developer there is his name Josh Lee, and Kepler wallet is like a MetaMask for the Cosmos ecosystem. So it looks and operates pretty similarly to MetaMask wallet, and so you would need that wallet to interact with the secret swap. There's also some cool things you can do uh, with secret swap. It's not just a AMM that's internal to our ecosystem.
Hmm.
We're building bridges into other ecosystems. So you can actually bring over your other assets. So we have an Ethereum bridge that's live right now, for example, and we have a BSC bridge that is launching. Oh, what's today? The 11th. There's a BSC bridge that's launching in 4 days, actually. So you're going to be able to take your ERC20 or your BSC assets that have no privacy features, bridge them into Secret Network, exchange them privately for any other token in our ecosystem, send them
Hmm.
to another wallet, use Secret Swap, provide liquidity in Secret Swap and earn yield, do all of these things with complete privacy. And then if you want to, you could bridge back out of the ecosystem to another wallet, or split amongst multiple wallets, and you'd pretty much be breaking the public imprint of your transactions. So you could almost use it like
Okay.
a coin mixer, right?
Got it. Got it. So when you say bridge in and bridge out, what do you mean more specifically?
Sure. So the best example is just if you had, 10 Ethereum and you
Hmm.
wanted to bridge that 10 Ethereum into our network to use Secret Swap,
Hmm.
or to provide liquidity and earn yield on that Ethereum. Uh, you would go to the bridge page, and I can provide, links to all this
Yeah, of
stuff
course.
in the show notes and whatnot. But you would take that 10 Ethereum, go to the bridge page. It would be in your MetaMask wallet. You'd connect your MetaMask wallet. You'd connect your Kepler wallet, which I just mentioned,
Hmm.
and then go to the conversion page. And what it'll do is you'll send your 10 Ethereum to a smart contract, which locks up 10 Ethereum, and then it'll mint 10 secret Ethereum on Secret Network.
Okay, got it. Another question on the secret network. Do you guys have fairly high liquidity for, most mainstream tokens? I think that's what people worry about the most when they use any kind of DEX.
Yeah.
Is that low liquidity issue and, potentially moving the market and the order filling as as the price goes up, or the price going up as it's filling, and vice versa, price going down as it's trying to fill an order and sell. It's still a huge issue, and there's slippage issues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, is that ever really an issue, or do you guys have just about as good liquidity?
Yeah, no, I mean, in full transparency, and you bring up a really good point. We have pretty good liquidity for major assets like Wrap Bitcoin,
Hmm.
Ethereum, Tether. our own token, Secret, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But the other assets, like a lot of the ERC20s that are on the bridge, I think we have pretty good liquidity for like Link and some of the other major ERC20s. But as you go down the list progressively, you definitely, if you're moving significant amounts of money, would have liquidity issues, like you mentioned. And that's, to be expected with
Mm-hmm.
any new DEX. Even Uniswap not too long ago didn't have, the liquidity they have today. But,
Right.
over time, it's hopeful that as people want more privacy for their assets,
Mm-hmm.
and as we incentivize, these bridging mechanisms through offering APY and staking ability, that we can attract more liquidity to the platform. So it's kind of like step one is roll out the platform, attract liquidity for the major assets, and then you
Mm-hmm.
roll out and try to attract liquidity for these other assets.
Where are you guys based, or where are you based?
I'm in Puerto Rico, actually.
Oh, that's a
So
good place to be.
the Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess there was like some attack on the power plant yesterday or something. So that was
What?
annoying.
There was an attack
Yeah,
on the power plant in Puerto Rico? Things are
yeah.
going to hell in Puerto Rico?
There was like a DDoS attack and a fire that broke out on one of the major power plants, I guess, over by San Juan. But
What are they trying to stop everyone from liquidating their crypto down there or
that's
something?
that's what it is, man.
That's my conspiracy.
Yeah, the locals were pissed off that all these crypto people were coming down here, and they
Yeah, the capital gains rate's so low and Biden wants to raise it. So,
yeah.
yeah, it's cat's out of the bag on that one.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. There's been a huge influx this year. It's been crazy, man. I just got back from Miami, and it was funny. Like the silent flex of the weekend was, oh yeah, I just moved down to Puerto Rico.
I know everyone on their Instagram or Twitter, like in their stories, and they're all like, "Oh, I'm in Puerto Rico, chilling, living life in Puerto Rico." I'm like, at some point, the laws are going to change. Like, if everyone flocks there, like they're just going to completely change the rules. So,
I give it like 2 years, but until then, I'm going to enjoy the surfing and stuff down here.
yeah,
Uh,
I heard it's beautiful though, good
yeah,
weather and everything.
it is. Yeah, it's beautiful. But I'm the only one from the team here. The
Hmm.
main development team, like that created the protocol, they're in Israel,
Okay.
and then some of the operations side, like at the Secret Foundation, we call it, which is
Hmm.
like the Ethereum Foundation. They're in Chicago. There's a lot of Chicago guys, and then people really, it's like truly a decentralized project, like all around the world, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. But it's ran by node operators like yourself, though, right? Like through
Yep,
Whispernode and stuff like that to help maintain the network.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, I have a question that leads into that. Given the climate and how certain places are trying to clamp down on the free flow of crypto and the fear of criminal activity, the AML, the KYC kind of bullshit.
Hmm.
Do you have any kind of concern that maybe they'd want to crack down on something like Secret Network by going after, like people that are lead operators like Whispernode or something like that, just simply because maybe there's not enough compliance up to their standards, like this, is
Yeah,
that a fear or a worry, or do you think Secret Network will just kind of carry on?
not particularly, mainly because like our our real use case is not that transactional privacy thing. If we were
Hmm.
more like a Monero, where that was our sole purpose, is to like hide your trail of money,
Hmm.
I would be more worried about it. But really, the way I view Secret Network is it's providing developers the ability to develop applications with programmable privacy at the heart.
Hmm.
So like privacy is not always a bad thing, right? Like data privacy is not a bad thing. There's laws like
Hmm.
GDPR that are more there to protect the consumer and protect their data. And companies, tech companies, are literally required by law to implement technical implementations for their users. GDPR is one thing I view as being an extreme positive. Uh, you know, there's all kinds of use cases. I'm just like, my brain's like going crazy
Right.
thinking about use cases now. If you were to build a decentralized Uber, for example, you wouldn't want the entire world to see your wallet history and your transactions that like clearly illustrate where your home address is,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Uh, so it's more of a building block, a protocol level for developing Web3 applications than it is to like hide your nefarious past.
Sure. No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. On the topic of, DEXs a little bit in DeFi, I'm curious what your thoughts are, because it seems like a fairly strong use case right now for, secret network as well. But, the space has gotten so big and saturated. It's become one of the biggest niches in, blockchain and fintech. And that's what, no one will shut up about it. That's the question they ask me all the time. What about DeFi? What about this one or that one? I'm curious, do you have like an opinion on the space and where you think maybe it's going? Do you think it's really going to disrupt all the big exchanges and change the game? Do you think it's still pretty young and has a long ways to go? I'm just kind of curious your view on it right now.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably have like a 2 hour long chat just
Yeah.
on that question, but I think it's a hard question to answer. I think it is a very immature space. Like I mentioned before, even when we talk about the biggest protocols in DeFi, the Uniswaps, the YFIs, the synthetics, like all these platforms that are popular today. I mean, you look back like a year and a half ago, and some of them weren't there, or they were still developing their protocols. So I view it now as like this grand experimentation.
Hmm.
And we've always had an idea of where DeFi will go, right? Like the whole idea is to create this whole financial ecosystem free of the banks. And I think we'll get there, but we're still years away. We're still building the building blocks, and just I view it as like a big sandbox where people are just trying a bunch of things and seeing what works, and hopefully not getting rugged.
Right.
Like that's a clear sign of the immaturity of the space, right? Like anonymous teams creating these profiles and then just rugging everyone that's using it. I don't think that would happen in a mature space.
You have a point there. It's definitely a very immature space. The one thing that's really interesting about this industry, though, is it's moving really fast. Like
Oh
you
yeah.
look at the early internet and you look at all the infrastructure that had to be built for that to be really usable. The infrastructure that needs to exist for crypto and to become what we hope it all will become kind of already exists, other than a couple companies and some regulations and a few hurdles in the way. And you got China just about to airdrop their CBDC to their citizens, and they're already ahead of the US in a number of
Yeah.
different ways. They don't even have cash anymore, and now they're about to get rid of their credit cards and debit cards and go full crypto.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know, maybe you see it too, but it's a really interesting industry where obviously there's an infrastructure, issue. There's some stuff holding it back still. There's a lot of growth, speculation. Sandbox is a good term. A lot of trying new things out, but it's also moving rapidly. It's like
Oh
how
yeah.
far we got in just 1 year. If you look back to last year, like right before the pandemic, to where we are now, it's insane. And it almost scares me, where we could be with crypto a year from today in the same situation, if things keep going in the same direction.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm totally with you. It's moving super fast, and I think um, a lot of those other like necessary pieces for DeFi we're going to start seeing come alive in the next couple of years, like more lending, more credit scoring. Like, I don't think there's too much like decentralized credit scoring and things like that going on now, but I think those protocols are going to exist in the near future. Where you plug in your MetaMask wallet and you're pre-approved for a loan because of your, transaction history in MetaMask, and it links, seamlessly to your identity in a decentralized fashion for like KYC, AML law compliance. I think that stuff's all going to exist soon. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And if
I totally agree.
if this market keeps trending in the bear direction, I hate to say it, but it might give people more of that space needed to create some of these things. Where, because in a bull market, like sometimes it's hard to build in a bull market because you're so concerned with attracting attention, right? Whereas if it's a bear, you just put your head down and build.
Well, that's the question, right? Are we in a bear market? Are we still in a bull market? Are we freaking out? I mean, Bitcoin is still, between 30,000 and 40,000. It hasn't gone much lower. Bitcoin, I kind of rely on that to lead my thought on what the market's doing. The market generally seems to follow Bitcoin. Hasn't really gone any higher, hasn't really gone any lower. The news is kind of affecting it a little bit less and less. It's like, I tell people this all the time. It feels like it's in a weird place, right? Where like it's either going to break through 30,000, it's going to collapse, and we're going to be done for the year, and we're going to go through this whole 4-year cycle bullshit all over again. That's a real possibility. Just from a speculating standpoint, or it goes the other direction and it goes up. I mean, there's so much money moving into the space that's permanent, so much infrastructure that's on board, people that are buying this stuff for like 10, 20 years down the line that aren't, just speculating and day trading and, stuff like that. It's very different than it was a year ago, even more different than it was in 2017, 2018. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we're in a bear market. I don't know if we're still in a bull market either, but I think it's still a really weird place where I can't say for sure yet.
Yeah, man, we're totally in limbo, and I don't know if this, like, I'm sure you've heard of like this upcoming death cross too, and I don't know. I don't even know that the death cross, if it happens, is going to provide any. I don't think that's going to provide clarity either. We're in this super weird limbo stage right now where it's like you have the fear of the death cross over here, and I was looking today at like this big charter in a group I'm in. Who was doing these charts with like the diversion of the correlation of assets. So if you're talking like altcoin correlation to the Bitcoin price, right? Generally, you'll see like major assets like DOT, Ethereum, the top projects, they correlate very closely with the price of Bitcoin, just by nature of having like a Bitcoin pair and, how the whole market depends on Bitcoin. But we've started to see like a diversion from that in terms of like USDT price. And that's usually a sign that large whales and traders are like moving away from those alt assets like Ethereum, DOT, and everything, and they're fleeing to safety of Bitcoin.
Right.
So it's like there's a scary indication, there's the death cross coming, there's like, the fact that we just crashed pretty heavily, there's all that fear. But then you look at some of the on-chain metrics of Bitcoin, and you see that, the largest, longest holders of Bitcoin are like tripling down on their positions. You see that they're buying right now. So it's hard to say what direction we're going to go.
Exactly. It's really difficult, I think, at this point. I mean, are you the kind of person that enjoys technical analysis? Do you like running studies and charts and stuff like that? Or do you have friends that you like to follow that do it?
I pretty much just rely on others. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I don't know if I believe in the whole death cross theory. I think markets are much more complicated in crypto than that.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably make an argument for that with the stock market, but even that, is proven to be incredibly manipulated. Crypto is a 24/7 market that doesn't sleep. Anything could happen at any point in any given region of the world that could affect crypto. You could have people selling off in China, even though we're praising it over here in Miami, which is the case. So it's like you can't really do a perfect analysis on it. All you can really do is look at, long term where the price action is going. And, for me personally, what I've always looked at is the inverse correlation with all the other altcoins, pretty much everything else under the Ethereum and down, versus Bitcoin's market dominance.
Yeah.
When Bitcoin has a really high market dominance, that's when people are leaving the space and, holding Bitcoin because it's their first off ramp besides going to dollars or pesos or euros or whatever it may be, if they want to stay in the space. And it's the most comfortable place to be. And that's what's, helped Bitcoin prove to be the best performing asset of the last decade. It's for that reason alone. Once you see Bitcoin's dominance start to slip, it's for one of two reasons. Either people are getting out of Bitcoin and going to cash, which is very unlikely people would do now, given, the high inflation growth rate for fiat right now, and all the cash injections into the system and the stimulus. Option two is it's pouring into altcoins and people are speculating and investing or gambling, one of the three. So I think it's the latter rather than the former. And I think it's happening very slowly. It's just, I don't think we feel it right now because the market's incredibly volatile. And you see a $20,000 drop off on Bitcoin in, a month or 2 month period, and everyone's panicking saying we're in a bear market. But you step back at 10,000 feet and look at the real picture, at where Bitcoin's up like $60,000 in the last year. So, it's kind of still a drop in the bucket. And you look at past corrections and, if Bitcoin really was to correct as hardly as it did, it would correct 80%. It hasn't corrected 80% or 90%. So it's either it's going to get worse and it's going to happen very soon, or it doesn't. And things are going to be fine. So that's a really long answer and explanation, but I think people
you made me feel good. You filled me with that. You filled me with that hopium. So I think it's important to have. Fly in July.
You got to step back and look at it. I mean, if you look at the charts and you step back, things actually look pretty damn good, and they actually look like pretty good buying opportunities. That's probably why some really smart people are buying right now and making really positive comments and are still building in the space. If they could do it in the crypto winter and be that positive and optimistic, I bet they're doing it right now. So I'm still bullish until things really, make a change for the worse. But long term, I think it's clear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got El Salvador, nationalizing Bitcoin as a national currency.
Mm-hmm.
You got others that may be following in their shoes, like Panama and, some of these Latin American countries starting to look at it. Maybe we'll see it in Colombia. Who knows?
I hope so.
That's got to be bullish, man. It's got to be bullish.
Yeah, I saw a funny meme today. One of the guy that was pointing his head and always telling you to think. On top, it's like Tesla tells me that I can't buy a Tesla with Bitcoin, but I'll just go buy it in El Salvador.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool that a country is like actually willing to make Bitcoin legal tender. That is a huge step. But I think people underestimate the fact that El Salvador is a really small country that doesn't really have a world-changing effect.
Right.
But if a major country jumps on board at some point, maybe Argentina, something like that, maybe Brazil. So I don't know, someone radical, that would make much bigger splash in a pond that's pretty big.
Oh yeah, I think that news would kickstart the bull market again here.
Yeah, a lot of potential black swan events that could move the market either way. Anyways, we've been talking for a little bit, quite a while on this stuff, but I did have a couple more questions. One on Puerto Rico, since you live there. I get a lot of mixed opinions, but is it turning into a tech hub at all, or is it just a bunch of people trying to escape capital gains tax?
Uh,
Or what's it feel like? What's the vibe?
yeah, I mean, so I honestly probably can't answer the question very well. I think a lot of the tech hub vibe would be towards San Juan. So I'm actually living like out on the West Coast, not to like dox myself completely, but
I mean, it's
I'm
not that big of a place.
yeah, I know, right? I'm actually out on like the West Coast, more towards the beaches and stuff. So I'm pretty far away from where a lot of the cryptocurrency and tech guys are. I do think it will become a little bit of a tech hub. You know, like Brock Pierce is here. I know he's investing a lot of money. Some of the early Ethereum guys are here investing a lot of money. Um, I think Brock Pierce like bought a church or something like that, and he's trying to like turn it into a
Crypto
crypto hub
church?
over there. Yeah, the crypto church, man. I haven't. I remember there was articles on it like back in 2019, I think. So I don't know what he's done with it since then, but I'm hoping to see some cool events and
I mean, the Bitcoin maximalists need a place to go, right?
yeah, right. I don't know if you were in Miami at all, but that was something else, man.
No, I wasn't, but there's enough on social media. I got the gist. I don't feel like I
Exactly.
had to go.
Yeah, yeah. You could feel a little desperation in the air. It was kind of strange, but you know, I feel
I
like
heard they got a big turnout though.
they did. Yeah, yeah. There was a ton of people there. I think there was 20,000 people in, estimated in Miami in total from crypto there. A lot of people
Mhm.
were just going to the side events and learning about NFTs and
Mhm.
Ethereum and things like that. I was like most bullish on NFTs coming out of there than I was Bitcoin. Like the NFT space is getting pretty cool.
Yeah, NFTs have been around for a while. It's funny how long it takes for something to really gain traction. But no, NFTs are cool because there's so many applications for it, and it's such a simple idea that solves so many problems.
Yeah.
Everything from being able to tokenize a real world asset to validating something digital as an asset.
Exactly.
Um, so, I mean, it's a very unique, circumstance, and it goes beyond just creating tokens and everyone doing ICOs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit more legitimate, and I think that's why people have poured so much money into it.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And I always like to bring it back to secret network, but that's like where
Yeah.
my mind goes. And it's like, okay, you just mentioned, digitizing real world assets and things like that, right? If we're talking about like titles to houses and property and like, a lot of like deeds and titles to cars and all these things, like, are people really going to want to do all that stuff with no privacy at all? I
Hmm.
still, I still can't imagine that. Like, can you imagine a bank that has, all of these loans on houses and everything that are all NFT'd to make that public to the entire world? I just have huge doubts about that. And then um,
Hmm.
you were mentioning like rights to real world products. Another thing that I'm seeing right now, which I can't completely wrap my head around how people aren't thinking about this, is um, these artists that are like doing digital music and they're trying to make NFTs out of their songs and things like that.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of them right now, there's no access control built into that. So if I'm an artist and I put my song as an NFT, the person that buys that, it's pretty much just a link that they can share with anyone, right? Like,
But that link could be anything. You could put anything as unlockable content.
right, right. Well, I guess that's my point though, is like with this
Hmm.
idea of unlockable content, you're not really protecting, it's not being protected in any way right now. And that's a big thing where we're focusing on at Secret Network is this unlockable
Hmm.
content. And we use things called viewing keys
Hmm.
to where only the person with the viewing key can decrypt the contents of the NFT.
Hmm.
or whatever it may be. So if it was a song, you can only listen to the song if you hold the viewing key for that song, right?
Yeah,
But like on Ethereum, it's all public. So if I buy this NFT, there's nothing for stopping me from sharing it with, 50 of my
exactly.
friends, kind of like pirating music back in the day. Um,
Exactly.
so it's like another immature space that I think people are eventually going to go, oh wait, if you include privacy, if you include encryption, and then you have viewing keys for these things, there's actually like more use cases that are unlocked.
Hmm. Exactly. You know, I get asked those questions a lot all the time, and I'm like, you could probably still do it, but yeah, if you had like a viewing key or something like that, and then you protect the artist a little more, especially if it's like a music artist or something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas, let's say you launch a new hit single or a new album full of songs inside an NFT, and you auction it off or whatever, and you keep your royalty, or I don't know, maybe some contractual agreement inside it as well. Once they buy the NFT and have access to the music, they could do whatever they want with it, right? So
Yep.
there is that question of, is there some type of viewer key you can create which forces people to pay, to have access to that music or to not redistribute it. There's a
Yep.
way around it, and maybe you
Yeah.
guys do have that solution. Maybe you
Yeah.
guys will be where people go in the future, because it's a problem. There's a huge solution for artists, especially music artists, but that's still a problem that someone's got to solve.
Yeah. No, that's like, we mentioned DeFi and you were talking about how crowded of a space it is and attract the issues with attracting liquidity. We definitely see DeFi as that was kind of the first
Hmm.
vertical we took. But being a layer one protocol, it's a blessing and a curse in that it allows us to pursue any vertical that's out there in blockchain, really.
Right.
Any vertical that could use privacy. So it's kind of like we have this exploratory DEX that's exploring private DeFi, but
Hmm.
private NFTs is where we're going to go next. And you haven't seen us launch any products that deal with private NFTs, but there's like super interesting use cases like music with viewing keys and like you said, I mean, you
Right.
had a perfect understanding of it of like only the buyer has that viewing key to view that song, uh, and it's great for protecting the artist's work. You can do other things like private bidding. We have a lot of unique things that we can do with NFTs, and we're really hoping to show the world kind of like what the protocol can do for NFTs and do for that space.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you guys are going to do something with NFTs the way you're talking. So, do you guys have like a roadmap laid out for the secret network on some stuff you guys want to do that is public, or you guys, this really a secret, or like,
I think like there are a lot of secrets in terms of what the team based in Israel is going to build. It's kind of weird because we're a layer one protocol. So, oh, sorry, I'm getting a call there.
oh, we put them on the podcast, give them
It
the
was
link.
funny. It was actually Dan who you had on the podcast.
Oh, tell Danny's back on the show live.
Yeah. We'll just put him on. Hey, you're calling in. Yeah, but in terms of like a roadmap, it's really hard as a protocol layer to um, have like that really defined roadmap, at least public. It's
Mhm.
really dependent on what developers in the ecosystem want to build on top of the ecosystem now.
Gotcha.
Going back to the sandbox analogy, like the sandbox is built, we're here, we're waiting, and we're mainly focused on like recruiting developers now to try to build some of these interesting use case MVPs or full blown applications on top of the protocol. So I know at least 3 teams right now are building stuff with secret NFTs, like NFT marketplaces. You're
Mhm.
probably going to see something for music artists at some point. I can almost guarantee that because that's a huge use case. that we're talking about. Secret ticketing. You can hide you can do a lot of things with like hiding messages and geolocations inside of NFTs too. So you could do like treasure hunts and cool, unique things like that. It's mostly brainstorming and then recruiting the teams to build the things now, rather than like a defined, okay, we want to go here, we want to go here. We've built, a canvas, and now it's time to create the artists or the developers to build whatever their hearts desire.
Well, if there's a developer that's watching this right now, or that does end up watching it, and they want to build on Secret Network, where do they go? What do they do?
Yeah, I mean, definitely check out the website, scrt.network. We're kind of building that and still revising it, but there should be information there on how to build. There's some educational like walkthroughs of how to build your first secret contract, which walk you through, what languages are used. We use Rust. There's a learn.figment.io, I think it is. One of the validators, Figment, if you've ever heard of them, has
I think so. They sound familiar.
Yeah, they have a really good like walkthrough for developers to learn how to build on the platform. But the best way to do it is really just drop by the Discord at chat.scrt.network, and just come talk straight to the community and straight to the developers and just say, hey, I got this crazy idea for this thing. Can it be built? How would I build it? We get so jazzed up about hearing ideas and just collaborating, and there's tons of resources available in the ecosystem. There's over $50 million available in developer grants to teams that want to build on the network. So if you got an idea, drop in, discuss it with the team, discuss it with the community, get a grant and start building.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, send me a bunch of links after this. I'll put them in the description for the episode too, so people can easily like go find some stuff and, get themselves caught up and up to date on what you guys are doing. But Brendan, thanks for taking the time to come on today, man. Really appreciate it. I really enjoyed learning about Secret Network. I think you guys are doing a lot of things that are important, especially in this space, regarding, privacy around NFTs, around DEXs. I think it's something people take for granted a little bit, but they're going to really appreciate in the future. So yeah, thank you for expanding on that.
Yeah, man, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me. And I love the content. I like your style of interview and just letting the conversation flow. So I really appreciate your time, man.
Thanks, man. I feel the love.
All right.